Even though it was her cousins in the wrong, Layla was the one who was beaten that night by her drunk uncle. And within a few weeks she was driven out and had moved to her next relative's house. They said they couldn't take care of a child who took their kindness for granted. Although it was unfair, Layla decided to consider it as a good thing because she believed her next relative's house would be better to her. The next house, the house after the next. Every time she was passed on from one place to another, she hoped for a better treatment. She thought her earnest wishes came true when she finally settled down at Uncle Bill's cabin. So all was good. Layla turned around and headed underneath the tree. She put the newspaper that was pinned in the corner of the basket into her apron pocket and began to climb the tree. Although she wasn't as quick and agile as before, she had her no-HOWS. She learned it from Uncle Bill. Layla sat cozily on the tree branch like a fitted chair. She firmly believed the Sholto River was the most magnificent river in the world. Kyle, who was used to traveling to many cities, agreed to her words. Layla thought her opinion was proved to be an objective fact. She observed the water birds, looking for food as the fresh scent of the river seeped into her nose. Summer was definitely a heavenly season. Layla, with a determined look on her face, suddenly opened the newspaper from her apron pocket and flipped to the mystery serial novel page. The detective, with his brilliant brain, was about to expose the criminal. Through his deductions, she began to excitedly race through the novel. It was only after a while when Matthias emerged, his face out of the water's surface, his distinct atoms. Apple moved up and down to the rhythm of his heavy breathing. The man's healthy nude body reflected over the river current. When he was about to return to his mansion, Matthias had changed his mind and began to swim towards the direction of the current. Matthias, who liked the Sholto River and the Arvis forest, moved to the boathouse next to the dock, where he could see the whole landscape in the mini-annex. His grandmother and mother rarely walked near the riverside, so the place was Matthias's private world. When there were no visitors stopping by the mansion, Matthias often visited the annex in order to blankly stare at the landscape beyond the window, read a book, or even take a nap if he was bored. It was the most comfortable place to do anything. Of course, his most favorite thing to do was when he entrusted his body into the river, just like now. While lying in the water, Matthias stared up at the sky, covered in between the green branches. The wind permeated the sound of leaves swaying, and the sound of rippling water along with the birds' cries. He could exceptionally feel the river's calmness today, as the mansion had been noisy over the last few days. Negotiation contracts on the marriage the Herhart and the Brandt household were about to sign had been going along smoothly. If nothing unusual came up, his engagement with Claudine was to be announced before the end of this summer. Matthias agreed for his engagement period to last for about a year. If he gained enough honor as the Duke of Arvis, he didn't have to maintain his position as officer any longer. After spending around 1 or 2 years in the military division, he was at the most appropriate moment to discharge from the military and get married. He planned to focus all his attention on his family business after the marriage. It was a life that he would go along like the flow of the calm current. Matthias resigned his body to the river as his eyes closed. The warm sunshine, cold currents, and the sound of ripples breaking down in his ears felt as if that was everything in his world. But the moment he opened his eyes again, his perfect peace was disturbed. There was a woman sitting on the branches of the steady tree standing by the river. Before he could blink, Matthias instantly recognized the woman's identity. At that same moment, the woman who folded up her newspaper she was reading turned her head towards him. It was that annoying woman, Layla Llewellyn.